Hello, Ben here. Hope life is groovy and welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast. My guest this week is the actor, singer and entrepreneur Simon Greenhill. Born in Halifax, Simon trained as an actor at London's Manview Theatre School, before starring in the UK tours of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, The Full Monty, and in the Jonathan Dove opera Tobias and the Angel. Simon has sung at many of the world's top sporting venues, Wembley Stadium, Lord's, Dublin's Aviva Stadium, and Ellis Park in Johannesburg, and has also performed on behalf of the Ryder Cup and the mighty British Lions. A familiar face in the world of rugby, Simon is matchday host of Saracens in the Gallagher English Premiership, and in 2007 founded Greenhill Events, pioneering bespoke entertainment globally. In this episode we discuss Simon's successful transition from theatre to the sporting world, resilience, being present, and the joy of family life. Plus the similarities between a life in theatre and sport.
I have this conversation with so many sports people. It's so close together, sport and the theatre, artistic world, performance world, in terms of there's so many ups and downs. It's the same thing. We audition for things. You know, you either get it or you don't get it. Sports people, they either get picked by a coach or they don't. There's so many, parallels.
He's a super dad and a super guy. He's Super Si. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast, Simon Greenhill. Good morning, Simon. How are you?
Morning. I'm good. What an introduction. That's lovely. How are you?
I'm very well. Getting the day started. Got my little coffee on the go. I just wondered, do you have any little routines in place that kind of get you revved up for the day, Simon?
I do. I love reading. I'm so into my reading at the moment, and I will get up, I'll see my kids, I'll see my dogs, and then I grab a coffee and have a read for 20 minutes, and then probably take the kids to school, and then get in the office and crack on. Love it.
And it's a busy day of sport. We both love our sport. It's a tricky one today. We've got the Lions. There's all sorts going on, isn't it? How do you manage to juggle that?
Well, it's so funny because my wife was sort of like, oh, we're going out for lunch today. Josh has sort of finished college and whatnot. Do you want to come out with us? I'm like, no, I've got so much to be getting on with. I'm so busy, and I mean I am genuinely busy, but literally at the same time, right here I've got a little TV screen and an iPad, and I will have the Lions on one screen and the State of Origin on the other as well, and just trying to get some work done without getting sucked into kind of watching it. I will record both, and I'll probably watch it one evening later in the week and properly dissect it. But it's that FOMO thing, isn't it? I just don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss it. And then sort of, you'll be flicking through Instagram and you just can't avoid it, can you? And through my business career, to be honest with you, I've always had sport playing in the background. When I'm working, I've always had a TV screen up, and when the test matches playing at Lord's or wherever, it's just wonderful. Like the Tour de France is on at the moment, so that will be on my TV screen all afternoon.
What I love as well, just the number of people in the creative world who do love their sport. We love our football, rugby, cricket. I remember I was doing Beauty and the Beast in Ireland, and the guy playing the Beast, fantastic actor called Alistair Robbins, he was a big West Brom fan, and it was the day they were hoping to get promoted from, it would have been the Championship up to the Premier League, and I gave him the thumbs up mid-scene. So the picture of this guy dressed as the Beast jumping up and down because the Baggers had got promoted was classic. I loved it.
But you're right. Like memories of working in the theatre, and everybody sort of running into the crew room. Like a sub stage to kind of see the score. With Champions Leagues playing. Or I remember. I think I was working on. It must have been Mamma Mia or Mary Poppins when at the Prince Edward when. It was like Istanbul when Liverpool played in that Champions League final, and they were like 3-0 down at half time, and everyone's like, they've lost this. But I remember coming back into the crew room, I was like, what? They're winning? This is ridiculous. And the whole theatre was just a buzz. Yeah, it's something special about it, isn't it? Running it in between scenes to sort of see the latest score and whatnot.
I can imagine literally nobody on stage for Dancing Queen. Everyone's in the green room watching Liverpool come back.
one of the campest sporting occasions I was ever involved in was the West End Football League, and it was a fixture at Battersea Park of Mary Poppins against oh gosh, what is it called? Oh, I can't remember.
Cats.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Mary Poppins against Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, like the campest football fixture ever. Wonderful,
Oh, but
wonderful.
there is a West End team, isn't there? I know they do a lot for charity, so fair
Yeah,
play. My goodness,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
too old
absolutely.
to play anymore, so I'll enjoy from afar.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah,
Simon, we first met. We did Joseph together. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat on tour. It would have been 99 we met. I remember we first met outside the Bristol Hippodrome, and straight away I just warmed to you. You are the kindest, friendliest, fun-loving chap like in the world, and it was such a comfort because obviously you go to a new job as a young actor, you're on tour, all the anxieties that can bring. So just to meet somebody really like-minded, it just made me feel so comfortable. And 25 years later, you still do, we see each other from time to time, but that bond there on that tour, I mean, what an experience. I think that was your very first job, wasn't it?
yeah. It was. It was. Yeah. Well, first of all, you're very kind, and right back at you there. I would say the same thing about yourself, and yeah. I mean, I think we probably kept each other sane on that job, didn't we? Like it was a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh.
And yeah, I mean, I just remember turning up on that first night, and I'd only ever seen like the West End version of Joseph, and I remember like we got to half time, and I was like, yeah, this is really different to what I've seen in the past. I didn't really fully understand what I was getting myself into. I've just signed up for a year of doing 28 shows a week with no understudies. And like just
Yeah.
going out every single night, getting no sleep, and just wow, it was
Oh,
it was incredible,
goodness.
wasn't it?
Well, talk about a bunch of characters. We're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
connected and we all recognize each other's strengths. We were all there for each other. We were young performers, and touring is tough, isn't it? And it was just wonderful and also a great learning for life almost. Like we always try to see the good in any situation. There were busy show weeks. It was weekly touring, Simon, wasn't it? But we always kind of had each other's backs, didn't we? And I think it taught me so
yeah.
much in just embracing any situation, trying to see a positive, and also the importance of hard work as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's only the other day actually. I was telling a story to my kids about we were talking about how hot it was. I don't know, a few days ago or whatever, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I remember when I was in Joseph once when like we were in Dartford and it was in the middle of summer,
Oh.
and like it was so hot. It was like a Wednesday matinee or something, and like we all got to half time, and like we were in that dressing room where like it was all windows, so it was like a greenhouse, and like we were literally like, "Oh my god, I'm so hot! I'm literally wet through." And we all had like dungarees on, and like Capezio split soles, and we were like, "I'm getting in the shower. I'm just gonna get in the shower." It was just like all of us just suffering and literally like looking at each other, going, "What are we doing with our lives?" Just brilliant.
We were like human sunflowers, weren't we? Like you say, it was like a greenhouse. But how funny, like just saying, right, we're going to have a shower. It's like in our heads, we merited the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, and the sound guys going nuts because we're taking off our mics and our mic belts, and I don't care. I don't
Oh.
care. I need to cool down.
What a lovely chance to kind of see the country as well. I mean, we were in the theatre
Oh,
most of the time, weren't we? But my goodness, we travelled. I remember train journeys up to Inverness, and it was just a real group feeling of there's no choice but to embrace this.
and like you said, like such fond memories of like your day off where you'd be traveling from, I don't know, say Hull up to like you said,
Yeah.
Inverness or Aberdeen or Edinburgh, and those train journeys were just wonderful. They were just, like, we'd get our pack up when we'd go into Marks and Spencers, we'd get a few drinks, we'd get our food, and yeah, we'd just, it was before smartphones, really. We
Yeah.
all had our mobile phones, but we just kept each other entertained, and yeah, it was great. And all the digs that we had, and sharing with different people, and like you said, different characters, and being in the dressing room, all the brothers, and kind of, like everyone sort of feeding off each other, and like,
Oh,
you'd get to understand how to communicate with people, because people would be up, some people would be down, and like others in between. And yeah, it was an education. It really was an education, and on the stage, from a performance point of view, it was an incredible education. How to conduct yourself in a tough environment. I made a joke earlier of 26 shows and no understudies, but it was two shows
yeah.
every day, wasn't it? It was
Yeah, yeah.
we were contracted to 12 shows a week. And yeah, it was hard work. It was bloody hard work, but it was an incredible amount of fun.
It's joyous, absolutely joyous. What I love the point you make there, Simon, about it wasn't it before smartphones? I think mid-tour I got my first little Nokia and I was like texting. I was like, my God, this is unreal. But also, of course, we weren't to know, but that just lent itself to communication. On train journeys, we weren't lost in our phones. We were chatting. We were finding out about people's backgrounds, about their families, about what they enjoyed. So we were present, weren't we? If somebody was feeling a bit low, at a certain time.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, yeah. We there was none of this buried in your smartphone. Like, no, we weren't plugged in headphones. Everyone was, yeah, like you said, fully present.
I've said to myself recently, Simon, just an hour at the start of the day and an hour before bed, just do not touch the phone, because it's so easy to slip into somebody else's existence before you've even got up and had a coffee. And, some days when I'm feeling a bit low, that really doesn't help me mentally.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's something that I've not mastered. I really haven't mastered it. I find it really hard these days running business. Working your business life, the modes of communication. It's not just
Oh,
by email. There's obviously phone calls, there's text messages, there's WhatsApp, there's people sending you messages on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and
yeah.
again, it's, you have to be so disciplined. I've not cracked it. Like, you go onto Instagram and you look at a message, you sort of reply to it, and then you get lost for half an hour just watching dog videos.
But it's true, though, isn't it? It's so easily done. It's so easily done.
Yeah, I really try hard to sort of put my phone down when I get into bed, and like read my book for 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, can you imagine if we had iPhones during that day in Dartford? We'd be like, yeah, we're just going to suffer stinking of dog biscuits. We've got to check. We've got to check Instagram. It wouldn't have happened. No showers wouldn't have happened. I mentioned your kindness. I met your parents when we were on that tour, and we actually stayed with them when we were playing Leeds. We commuted to your lovely family home then in Halifax, where your parents were, and you're such a kind chap. And I think I know where you get that from, because your parents were wonderful. I was struck by how loving and supportive they were of all of your family, and just how generous they were in their hospitality. And you must have picked so many lovely positives of how they were in life and are in life to take forward in your life. They were just wonderful.
You've got to remember, you know, people like ourselves who work in the theatre, or other people who work in sports, or whatever it is. Like your parents, they're there through your childhood years, and they spend so much time, and I know because I do it myself now with my own kids. Like, they spend so much time ferrying you around, to various classes or whatever it may be. They
Yeah.
watch everything that you do from the sidelines, or the front row of the stalls, and they support you, and like through the ups and downs, like again, I have this conversation with so many sports people that I'm sort of associated with these days, and it's so close together, sport and sort of the theatre artistic world, performance world. Like in terms of there's so many ups and downs. It's the same thing. Like we auditioned for things. You either get it or you don't get it, or you
Yeah.
get a part or a role that I really wanted to get that particular role or whatever it is. Sports people, they either get picked by a coach or they don't, or they're sat on the sidelines, and they're peering in and sort of watching. So there's so many, parallels, but essentially it's the same thing. Once you break through, and like we did with Joseph, I remember they were there for our opening night in York. Um, they were there when we were in Bradford. They were there when we were in Leeds. I think they came to see us in Manchester. When I did the full Monty again, the same thing. The cast came and stayed at our house. They cooked for everyone, but they just enjoyed being around everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like getting to meet everybody. Their son's friends. I feel the same way with my kids. Like they do they do their theatre shows and all this kind of thing, and yeah, we constantly have a house full of kids and their friends, and yeah, you want to get to know them. Like it's great. It's wonderful.
And can you remember the moment when you realised that you did want to head into the world of theatre, Simon? Like how supportive they were, and at what point did you kind of realise, like, I think I can do this?
Yeah, I mean, I was a very late starter. Like as you know, like I played rugby league as a kid from the age of 7, and I that's all I ever wanted to do. That's literally all I ever wanted to do. And by the age of 15, like there were kids in my team who were getting picked by various clubs, like your Wigans and Leeds and Halifax, and
Yeah.
like it didn't happen for me, and it wasn't going to happen. And I remember being devastated when I was 15, when the realization hit. And I probably a little bit went off the rails. I stopped playing rugby. I sort of packed it in, rightly or wrongly, and yeah, it all stemmed from my sister. Always did amateur dramatics and
Yeah.
dance and pantos, and the local Amdram company needed some boys. And eventually they wore me down. I was like, oh, for God's sake, I'll do it. And I went and I was in the chorus of Fiddler on the Roof. And you know that comedy. And
It's a heavy one, isn't it? It's a
yeah,
heavy one.
yeah, 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 it is. But I loved every minute of it. I loved everything about it. Like it was a complete breath of fresh air. And then the youth theatre were doing a production of Grease. And I was like, oh my God, I love Grease. Like, I love it. So I was like, no audition. Um, so it was the first time I ever stood up on my own and sang. And the director at the end of it said to me, oh my God, where have you been all these years when we needed someone to sing? And I was like, oh, was it okay? He was like, it was fantastic. And that was kind of the start of it. I just really indulged into it. I really leaned into it and thoroughly enjoyed it. And then yeah, one day I sort of woke up and was like, I wonder if I could do this for a living. I applied for Mountview. It was the only theatre school that I applied for because I knew someone from Halifax who'd been there. And I got an audition through, and I practiced and practiced and practiced. And I went down there and I got offered a place. And going to drama school, I felt so out of my depth when I started because, you'd got all these kids. I mean, I've got a great friend who I auditioned with, Matt Danes, who is a wonderful human being. We were in the same audition, and he came from a background of dance. So, we did the singing, brilliant, all good. That was my thing, brilliant, nailed it. Did the acting, great. I was happy. I did a good job. Then we got to the dance, and we were literally in the changing room, and he was putting on like his leg warmers and all this kind of stuff, like no exaggeration. And I was literally in like my rugby shorts and t-shirt and trainers, And we went in, and I sort of fudged my way through it and got offered a place. But yeah, I talk about that with Matt all the time, because I literally was like, in that changing room, I was like, what am I doing here? Like I don't belong here, So when we went through that first year, yeah, just there was so many moments where people were just so much more ahead of me, because they've been
Yeah.
doing it for years and years. And I really had to, yeah, I just sort of dig deep and actually just forgive myself as well. Just be like, okay, I am where I am. Like I am who I am. I'm trying my best, and let's just make the best of it.
When you mentioned, you were questioning your place at Mount View in that first year, about to do your dance, your little foxtrot in your rugby shorts. But I think that shows like a real steel, a real quality, a real self-belief. And it's so important, isn't it? What a great lesson. Like, even now, it's so important to remember who you are, what you might bring to a situation. I see so many people who try to be something other than they are. I think if people can hold on to their core, I think that really helps, because you're just being true to yourself, aren't you? And I think people warm to that in any line of work. To you?
Yeah, I completely agree. And again, talking about theatre and sports people and how closely aligned it is. Look how many
Oh,
sports teams we've watched, and individuals, we've watched where, oh blimey, they've had to go through agonizing defeats, like testing times with injuries and all these kinds of things. And then, like when you get those victories, like it is all the sweeter, isn't it? Because of, because of what you've been through.
what I really admire as well is kind of the similarities. My goodness, we both love our sport. I was let go from Aston Villa and Walsall, found my comfort then in performing, the camaraderie of a dressing room as opposed to a changing room, and being
Yeah.
part of a group of like-minded people. And then suddenly realizing that, my career got off to likewise a couple of good tours, but then literally nothing. And I was like devoid. I was low, depressed, just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And it's realizing that through theatre and through our performing life, we do gather skills that lend itself to other environments. You found, a fantastic career within and nurtured a career within, the entertainment business and now sport. And it's having the courage to think, hang on, I've got the skills to succeed in other walks of life. Was that challenging for you, but also how rewarding as well? You set up Greenhill Events, and it must be wonderful to know that you're catering for people's needs and making them happy.
Yeah, completely. I mean, yeah, going back to what you were just saying, like start of my career again, did Joseph. When I finished that, I did a summer season in the Isle of Man. Did a couple of players, and then I came back, and yeah, I had 2 years where I literally couldn't get a job. I couldn't get anything, and it is hard. That is so hard. Like
Mm.
you're getting in the room, you're getting down to final auditions,
Oh,
and then all of a sudden the full Monty comes along. Amazing, fantastic, wonderful, But again, even beyond that, like I was getting down to final auditions, like for big, big stuff, and just not getting over the line, and like getting little bits and bobs, and then kids come along, and you're sort of questioning then, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know.
yeah.
Like I've had the resilience, but then questioning yourself, am I giving up? And actually you're just being a realist, like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's come along. You've got to provide for your kids. You've got to have happiness for yourself, for everyone around you, and create that positive environment. And yeah, that's how I sort of sidestepped then into my events business. Like I spent, ironically, a lot of time when I wasn't working as an actor. I was doing gigs, corporate gigs, sporting gigs, where I was singing. And that's where I was like, okay, I think there's a career here. I think there's a path, I think I can still keep performing, but I can also build a business where I'm kind of in control of it. I've been so bloody lucky, in terms of the venues and the places that I performed at, and the doors that's opened into sport, and singing at Wembley Stadium, at Twickenham
Oh,
Stadium, and singing national anthems, and like I spent a large time out in South Africa, which is the most wonderful country.
oh,
I've bloody performed in Vegas. I never thought I'd do something like that. Went out to New Zealand in 2017 on the last Lions tour, and that was just a real pinch me moment watching the Lions. But I was paid to be
oh,
there because I was singing at lots of events. It was it's been unbelievable. It's been unbelievable. But again, like things transpire, and again things change and alter, and COVID came along, and that sort of kicked it up the arse a little bit, and the landscape's
yeah.
changed, and
Oh,
my feelings and thoughts have changed on the world and life and that kind of thing. And again, you sort of evolve, don't you? So yeah, I think, and I would put it down to the actor's life. We're so resilient, and we're chameleons, in terms of you've got to go out there and you've got to do whatever it takes to kind of get your next meal. So yeah, just my background of being an actor has set me up hugely for my career and my life that's followed that.
I'm certain a huge, huge reason that those doors open to you is because you're so likable. You're such a warm character that people warm to that, and they would want you to be involved. They'd want you to be part of their project. And I just think it's wonderful that through being yourself and being always, always true to yourself and your thoughts on life and how life should be lived, that your joie de vivre. My French is awful. I scraped a French A level. You probably just realised
Oh,
that.
I love that.
But
I
I
love
think
that.
it's wonderful that through being yourself, you've had all these wonderful, wonderful opportunities. Like, do you realise that? Do you recognise that?
If I'm brutally honest, like we are peas in a pod. We have had our ups and downs in life. We've probably had our challenges with ourselves, mentally, and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you sort of maybe have to take a bit of time out and really sort of assess, where you are, who you are, and those kinds of things. That yeah, you do sort of have to be quite kind to yourself and recognize that yeah, actually what I've achieved is good. Like I'm happy. Like I sort of bring it back to my family, like without sounding in any way cheesy whatsoever, but like yeah, my biggest success is I look at my kids and they're brilliant,
Oh.
and they're really bloody good kids, and I'm proud of them.
Getting quite emotional. I mean, I'm a big softie. And I'll tell you why, Simon, is that we are peas in a pod. I think that's why I get so happy when I see your life and career flourish. But also, it's so hard when your go-to, your antennae is always up, or feels like it always needs to be up to make other people happy, family, friends, colleagues, in the workplace, at home, amongst a friendship group. And it is hard, isn't it? Just those days when, life is tough, and of course it is. And I don't like offloading my angst or negativity on people ever. But sometimes when you do have a moment to stop and think everything you've achieved, sometimes I just forget to kind of give myself a hug. Do you know what I mean? It's because life is bonkers and it's busy and we're always hustling, but it's just sometimes lovely to stop and think, you know what, I've done all right here, and I really hope people listening feel like it's important to do that as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and likewise, I look at you, and like, again, not blowing smoke up your back passage, um, but
Mon derrière,
yeah,
more French.
je m'appelle Simon.
Où est la bibliothèque, monsieur?
Yeah, I was going to come out with some more then, but it'd just be embarrassing. No, but like I look at you, and again, so full of admiration. That you have stuck at it. Through thick and thin. And some of the roles that you've played, and you know, like the performances that you've given, and like this that you're doing now, is special. It's fantastic. And, giving people like us the platform to share our story is wonderful. And like when I bumped into you at Headingley, a couple of seasons ago, where, you're on the mic, and it's just bloody wonderful. It's wonderful. So yeah, like as I have, you have the right to be able to, those days where it's not as easy as it could be, to be able to go, yeah, actually I've done bloody all right here. I'm doing all right here.
Oh, thanks, Simon. Bloody hell! Who'd have thought? Wednesday morning tears past the Kleenex. Oh, excuse me. I'm just gonna have a sip of coffee, dear. One moment. It's like
Oh,
when I
should be
heard
cold.
"Close Every Door" for the first time in head voice.
In head
There we
voice.
go. There we go. I've pulled myself back together.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Oh, oh, fab!
Looks like
Is that your
Alexa's just cracked on.
Unplug
Oh,
both the
she
phones.
Alexa's
Alexa,
awake.
can you keep it down,
Didn't
please?
isn't she up for Eponine in Les Mis?
Echo device.
I'd love to ask you just a couple of things. Singing at Wembley Stadium, Ellis Park in Joburg, my goodness, massive sporting venues. How much of a buzz is that? And also, you're now match day host at Saracens, and revving up the crowd there on match days. That's a lovely buzz as well? And I find, I don't know about you, but that kind of ticks my little performing fix when I'm on the mic. Getting a crowd revved up at a sporting event. It's so lovely. And likewise, another similarity with theatre. What a wonderful sort of circle of life to work in the sporting world.
Yeah, completely agree. Like you hit the nail on the head there, that it literally just ticks off that performance, element of my life. I love it. And the Saracens thing, I really love it. Like I love being so close to the game, to rugby, and again, getting to know so many people within the organisation of Saracens, and not just the players, like that's wonderful, and that's great. And when you're messaging them before they're playing in their international games at the weekend, and that's all wonderful. But it's the people backstage, behind the scenes, everybody who's in the office, like the people that are preparing the pitch, people that are sort of lugging the tackle pads, and all that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah, it is a family. It's like anything. It is a family. And I don't think, sport can be so partisan, can't it? Particularly sort of football and
Yeah.
things like that. But like, you know, ultimately, again, I've got to know people from opposing clubs as well, Exeter, Northampton, Bristol, that kind of stuff, and I just love it. I really, really love that I'm so up close and personal. Like, do I have any desire to sort of take it any further? No, probably not. I just enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I'll hopefully sit in that role for as long as I can do it. And yeah, it just ticks that box, and if it opens other doors in the future, then brilliant. I'm just very happy that I get that opportunity to do it. I feel really privileged.
It is a huge privilege, isn't it? Just being at a sporting event and being paid to do there and to enhance somebody's experience of an occasion is wonderful. And when you say being up close and personal there, it reminds me of that dressing room back in Dartford again, Simon.
Shower time.
What I'd love to ask you as well, of all the games and moments you've had to announce at a rugby match, what has been giving you the most buzz? What's been the most electric occasion, would you say?
Wow, I probably 2 or 3 seasons ago. I mean, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of poignant moments where, like Alex Good retired at the end of this season. That was very emotional. A couple of weeks before, he broke, I think it was 400 appearances for the club. That was really emotional. Owen Farrell left. There's 4 last obviously coming back now. That was quite emotional.
It's such a buzz, isn't it? When I'm in the car after, say, a match at Headingley that I've announced, and the crowd are buzzing, and it's just lovely to think, you know what, I've kind of played a bit of a part in that. It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're the conductor, right?
You mentioned earlier in the chat, Simon, just about how we evolve as people, and especially in the creative world, and how you find that balance. I just wondered, you mentioned your lovely children, you've got a beautiful wife, Siobhan. I just wondered, now when you have got that balance of work and family, and you're making all these people happy, what's your happy place? Is it being with them and the dogs, just literally at home with their friends, or out and about? When you do have some downtime, where you just like, you know what, life is lovely. I feel very, very happy.
It's a real balance, isn't it? Because I sort of think that we are, as a family, we're right in the thick of it. Like myself and Siobhan, work-wise, are busy. Like Siobhan is busy. She's barely here. Like she does so much singing teaching these days and loves that. But, she's here, there, and everywhere. I'm here, there, and everywhere, out and working and, performing or at events, sporting events or dinners. So yeah, when we are around, it's really important that we do spend time with the kids. Like the dogs are a massive part of our lives. Like even Monday evening, like I'd had such a busy day, and I think it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, right, come on, kids, let's just take the dogs out. Come on, it's for half an hour. Let's just go out, and it's just a nice time to sort of chat with them and catch up with them and see where they're at and what they've been up to and just hearing everything. So yeah, I think it's just making sure that when you are busy like that it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to go to a fancy restaurant. You don't have to, like spend loads of money or whatever it may be. It's just literally just like we were saying earlier, just being present with them and you just being there for them and caring and wanting to know about everything that they're doing and without crowding them, of course.
Oh, I've no doubt they're so proud of you, and there's no doubt that you must be officially super dad. I'm sure of it. Simon, it's been such a joyous chat today. You've made me smile literally for 25 years, and that smile's as big as it ever has been today. Simon Greenhill, thank you so much for joining me in Benjy's Cafe.
Ben, I love you. Right back at you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Right, shall we go and have a shower?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Benjy's Cafe podcast. Nothing beats a chat that makes you smile, and Simon makes you smile. Don't forget, a fresh new episode of Benjy's Cafe podcast drops every Tuesday. just find us wherever you get your podcasts. Give Benjy's Cafe a follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone. A big thank you to everybody who's already voted for Benjy's Cafe podcast in the Listener's Choice Award at the British Podcast Awards. If you haven't and do have time, please visit britishpodcastawards.com/voting. Pop in Benjy's Cafe and bash. Done. Thank you. Next week I'm joined by the comedian Susan Harrison. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.